Welcome to Unity. I'm Reverend Marla Mason. It's always such a blessing to know that I serve as your minister. I'm really grateful to be here with you this morning. Unity is a place where we are waking up. We are waking up to the truth of who we are. We are waking up to the spiritual truth of ourselves and all that is around us, transforming our own lives so that we can contribute toward making the world a better place. And here at Unity, we are actually advancing this spiritual awakening throughout the Puget Sound region. And now that we get to be online on a regular basis, it turns out around the world. I know we have several folks from the East Coast online with us this morning, and even somebody from the continent of Africa. So I am so grateful to welcome all of you into the spiritual community that we are creating here at Unity. I also want to welcome this morning a very special guest. Our guest speaker today is Reverend Dr. Raymont. I'm sorry, I shouldn't mess up your name when you are our guest speaker. Our guest speaker today is Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson. He comes from Baltimore Center for Spiritual Living, and I am really thrilled to be able to have him come and speak this morning. You know, we've been welcoming a number of guest speakers recently, and I will say that one of the blessings of Pandemic Church is that we get to welcome guest speakers that we would not normally have been able to have. I had heard of Reverend Raymont around more or less, and I'd seen his posts on our ministers listserv, and I was aware of him, and I was aware of him as a potent energy. And then last fall, I was at a conference and I had the opportunity to meet him and to spend some time with him. And what I learned is that he's a powerhouse and he's committed to spiritual awakening. He is committed to that transformation that contributes to a world that works for everyone. In his life, he has been a teacher. He is an ASL interpreter. He is a life artist. He is a minister. And a powerful presence, an activist, an advocate for social justice, for love, for grace, and for peace for all beings. And so I welcome him warmly, and I invite you to welcome him as well. You're going to get a chance to check him out here in a little bit. He's here to talk about living life full out. That's our theme this month. We're talking about the great work of your life, connecting to and living full out from our Dharma. And so to begin to set the tone this morning, our own Clayton Brainerd has some music for us. So I'm going to turn it over to him for a song, and then we'll pray in. Clayton?
Good morning, Unity of Bellevue. I'm so very pleased to be able to share two Becca Palm songs with you this morning. These two songs have been the centerpiece of my spiritual growth for the last couple of years, and you've heard them before, but I'm so pleased to share them with you again today. The first one is, God is all I am. God is all I am. And I am one with God. God is all I am, and I am one with God. My heart is open to the full expression of that life-living me. God is all there is, and I am one with God. I love all there is. I love all there is. And if it doesn't feel the way I want it to feel, I love again. 'Cause God is all there is, and I am one with God. God is all there is, and I am one with God. My heart is open to the full expression of that life living me. God is all there is, and I am one with God is. I am, and so it is.
And so it is, we stand in our oneness with the infinite. We stand in this awareness, resting in the very mind and heart and body of God. And it's in this consciousness of oneness and unity that I bless this sacred and holy time together. I know we have been called together by divine appointment to be about God's work. And we are willing to be present to all that unfolds this day. Our hearts and minds open to the music, to the message, to the fellowship we share. I call it good and I release it to the divine activity of the law. And so it is. Amen. As we open today, before we move into our typical affirmation, I do want to mention it's Memorial Day weekend. We celebrate this holiday, if you will, every year. And it's always an interesting holiday for me because it's the holiday in which we remember those who have died in service to our country. And I have mixed feelings about that because I have a conviction that my life is about peace. And yet I also realize that I am about people and love and grace. And what I know about those who have been called to serve that I personally know is that many of them have made great life sacrifice in order to make a commitment to serving our country. And they feel as though it's their duty. You know, we're talking about Dharma this month, passion, calling, duty, purpose. And the folks I know feel as though it's their Dharma, their duty to serve. And I'm also aware that they have often struggled to find meaning in that duty, to find what is the right thing to do. And that ultimately, those who have been in service that I know have seen themselves as upholding the principles that our country was founded on and that we stand on, principles like freedom and liberty and civic responsibility and expression. And more than anything, they are aware of an opportunity to make the world a better place. Now, in that attempt, and from that place, sometimes lives are lost. And today, Memorial Day, tomorrow, Memorial Day, but this weekend, Memorial Day weekend, we honor those lives. And I would like to invite us to consider honoring those lives in the consciousness of peace, to honor those lives by being peace, so that no more lives must be lost in service to our country. And I can't help but consider this weekend that there are lives being lost in the midst of this pandemic we are walking through right now. In our country, in the United States, we're nearing 100,000 lives lost, and worldwide, very close to 345,000 lives lost. And in the same sense that I encourage us to honor those who have served our country by honoring peace, by being committed to peace, I invite you to consider honoring those lives lost in the pandemic by engaging with your civic responsibility, to limit gatherings and to wear a mask, to take care in not engaging in behaviors that might cost even more lives. And I'm also aware, you know, I think I mentioned before, we defined this theme, live life full out, several months ago, long before we knew there was going to be a pandemic in May. And so the shift in the theme for me has been, how do I live life full out from within, from inside my house, from inside my mind? And you know, how do I engage in life with passion and purpose from within when my seeming outward options are limited? And what I am really getting more and more clear about is the role of consciousness and the importance of consciousness. That what I can do right now is cultivate a consciousness of love, cultivate a consciousness of grace, and a consciousness of peace. And from that place, I am always guided to right behavior. So that's your sermonette this morning. I am grateful to have this opportunity to think about these concepts and these ideas. And isn't that the purpose of any holiday? It's to remind us, to re-anchor us in in who we are. All right. So many blessings. Let's move into our affirmation this morning as we consider living from within out, as we consider living life full out, engaging in our life purpose by honoring the consciousness of peace and love. I'm going to read through this once and then I'll invite you to join me. I live the great work of my life with passion and purpose, confident that my deepest calling is sustaining and nurturing me now. I live life full out, and so it is. All right, please join me with conviction as we speak these words of truth. I live the great work of my life with passion and purpose, confident that my deepest calling is sustaining and nurturing me now. I live life full out, and so it is.
The Spirit of God is upon us. The power of love is clear. In this very Zoom together, there's no need to fear. When darkness and dense clouds are looming, we're led by the light from within, that's shining and guiding to this moment here. The darkness fades as we begin to see the light within.
So, where do I begin? Well, we begin at the beginning. First, Reverend Marla, thank you for the invite and opportunity to come share with you all. Thank you, Clayton, for that beautiful and amazing, heart-expanding music. Thank you to the Unity pre-service setup team for help getting me acclimated to know what was going to go on today. And thank you to the entire Unity community. Thank you all at Unity of Bellevue for having the space to allow me to come here and share with you today. But, I hope you're ready. I hope you are ready for what's getting ready to happen. So let's go ahead and check out the slide for a moment. And if you want to read along with me, feel free to. So we're talking about living full out, right? So this life is our hero's journey. And with each step along the path, we are invited to know ourselves and our Dharma more and more deeply, intimately and passionately. But knowing is not enough. We must live it fully and out loud. Charles Fillmore said, I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm and spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me today. So today the invitation is sent, and we're going to dive deeper into this idea of what it means to live fully, live out loud. One of the words that Reverend Marla mentioned specifically during the pre-service setup was this word boldly. Are we ready to actually live and step into what it means to live in a bold, audacious manner? To do as Charles Fillmore said, to sizzle, not to just simply marinate, not to simply just sit in the pot with a light warmth, but to sizzle. I mean, give off noise and feel the heat and the crackle of what it means to be alive. Because if we are, then we take the invite. We take the invitation, we take the step, we move forward, and we do what is ours to do. And that means stepping boldly onto this thing called the hero's journey. So I'm sure it's something that the vast majority of us are familiar with in one way, shape, or form, whether it's we talk about Harry Potter and his hero's journey, Luke Skywalker and his hero's journey, doesn't matter, Dorothy and her hero's journey, doesn't matter whose. The idea is, as metaphysicians, it's a hero's journey that each and every one of us in one way, shape, or form we are on. The interesting thing is, so you start at the very beginning, and then as you get through, you ascend to a higher plane of existence, a higher way of showing up in the world. And that's all well and good when we're talking about the other folks. When we're talking about Luke Skywalker, we're talking about Captain James T. Kirk, and we're talking about Harry Potter and Hermione. It's great when we're talking about them and Frodo and them. But when it comes to us, yeah, we get good with the beginning, but when we get like down here, crossing the threshold, we pause. When we get to the chest and the enemies, we don't like seeing those flying monkeys. You know, we don't want the Klingons and we're scared now because, Slytherin is in the house. Then we get down there. Whoa. Approach the innermost cave. The innermost, because keep in mind, what did Reverend Marla just say? This idea of living full out, but it's within. It's in the house right now because of the pandemic. It's an inside job with consciousness. How many times do we say things in our teaching such as above, so below, as within, so we see demonstrated externally as without. So it's an inside job, but to do so, to really go here, we have to go to the innermost, not to the mouth of the cave, not to the couple steps in the entrance where there's still light. We have to go to the innermost area of the cave where there might be, probably isn't any light at all. Pitch black, darkness. Oh my. No night light to go with us. Darkness. So no. And then, before we start to cycle back, if we made it this far, then there's the ordeal that happens in the abyss, where we must face the shadow self. Yes, see, we don't like doing that. It's easy to spiritually bypass or metaphysically malpractice and sidestep, to get away from it, rather than standing squarely in what it means to be sacred, holy, divine goodness. We believe in God the good, omnipotent, omnipotence itself, and that which it is goodness. And if it is all there is, then this infinite omnipotence itself, then it must be right here where each of us are right now. Because there's no space, there's no place, there's nowhere that God is missing or absent or less than. It's not like if you go here to this side of the room, there's a little bit less God. But over here, there's a lot of God. And if you go here, oh my, there's so much God. It's not like that. Right? So we understand that God is a circle whose circumference is nowhere and whose center is everywhere, as Voltaire said, then God is all there is. And it must be right here, right now, what each of us are. Not just as something in us, not just as something moving with us, not just as something moving through us, but that which it is the totality of all that we are. This guy by the name of Pierre, you may know him, he said that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. True. But check out what the next layer of consciousness with that is we are spiritual beings having a human experience. We are spiritual beings having a spiritual experience that we call human. Everything we do is God doing it. But we block and negate our ability to access that, to come around to the other side, to start to make our way back to master two worlds, to have a foot in one and a foot in the other, to be not in the world, not of, but to move through it, knowing that what we are is a divine presence, to then come back at a higher plane of existence. Because check this out. Reverend Marla mentioned the idea of service and how many men and women have surrendered their life in this plane of life before life eternal in order to serve. But what happens when we as a globe reach a new layer, new level of consciousness where we understand a world that works for all, and there's no more consciousness of war? The paradigm of war is something that our children's children read about in history books, saying, way back when my great-great-great-great-great-grandparents had war as a thing, but how great it is that we have evolved beyond that. And now we are in service to a higher level of consciousness that comes with love and benevolence and joy and peace and unity and oneness. Simply breathing in, knowing that right here and right now, each of us, we are the construction workers on the job to bring this manifestation, this demonstration into being. But we know some folks, right? We know some folks that they're supposed to be over there, hammering stuff in or using the nail gun or sawing something, and they're not. They're asleep on the job. They were supposed to take a 30-minute lunch break, and it's already 3 hours, so they probably just went home early. They clocked out instead of being on the job. So we're being invited to be on the job and active on the job, consciously active. But it requires a level of knowing what's holding us back. Like something's going on in our minds, in our hearts, in our family interactions, in our community interactions. Some belief form that I have or hold about how insecure, insufficient, inferior that I am. How, I'm too tall, too short, too fat, too thin, too something, too old, I'm too young, I'm not that enough, I don't have a degree enough, I haven't been trained enough, I can't pray well enough, I don't know how to meditate, I can't meditate well enough, I can't quiet my mind enough, I can't something enough, I'm not enough. And therefore we're held back, we're held down, simply because we bought into the lie and we believe in it. But what happens when we start with at least a willingness to surrender any belief forms, any paradigms, any old, but my mother told me, but my father told me, but my third grade teacher told me, but I learned this before, or some minister said, or something or other. Are we ready or willing, at least willing to release that? Because we understand if we've been carrying around a belief for a very long time, and we reach a point where we're going to surrender it, release it, and let it go, then it means that person who only knew of that has to die. Meaning, I don't know how many of you saw the movie Harriet, movie about Harriet Tubman. But there's this idea, see, because as a metaphysician, I look at everything metaphysically. And there's this idea that in order for a person who was made to be a slave, forced to be a slave, enslaved, in order for this person to be free, this person has to release, shed, surrender, and transcend the idea of slave, enslaved, or slavery, and let it go in order to step into free, freedom, emancipated, and liberated. So in order for me to be someone who is whole, perfect, and complete, I have to surrender any belief forms, any paradigms, any consciousness around what it means to be inferior, to be not enough, to be not good enough. But see, this thing with Dharma, we understand that everybody, if all is God and all is God, then that way that God is incarnating itself in, through, and as each and every one of us is in its own essence whole, perfect, and complete. Which means every part of us, right here and right now, every part of it is perfect by divine right. Every part of us is complete. There is nothing, it doesn't matter what our past was, it doesn't matter how many times we failed at a job, failed at a relationship, it doesn't matter how much is in or not in our bank account. None of that in terms of what it means to step forward into being a being who is liberated, emancipated, and free from an outdated, old, archaic paradigm of lack and limitation. Then it's time to shift it, let that being die, and let the phoenix rise from the ashes anew. And that scares it scares us oh so much. Because when you've been beaten and abused so much, like I grew up as an abused child, to such a degree that if my mother raised her hand to brush her hair back, just the action of raising, I'd flinch. Because I had been indoctrinated and domesticated into believing that when her hand moved, it meant I was getting hit. But in order for me to step forward into this new way of showing up, this being who trusts and who loves and forgives, then I have to be willing to let that being, the traumatized, the terrorized, the tortured me, I have to let that me go. It served its purpose and I have to let it go. Are we willing to take the invitation to step into a new way of being, to let go of what's holding us back, to move forward into this new idea of what it means to live our Dharma? I don't know, my sister, my assistant, she's right now working on the computer, so I don't know if she can see folks right now, but if you are ready, and if you are with me, then like wave a hand, like some thumbs up, something, wave something. Let me know, because we just scratching the surface right now. So ready. So Dharma, and the tree and the flower of life implies this idea that what happens in it, it ripples out. What we do, what we think, how we feel, how we speak, sends energetic ripples out into all of creation. So our Dharma, and yep, it's going to be an acronym, our Dharma affects everything and everyone. D, divinity, temet noske, know thyself. Om Tat Sat, I am that I am. First step in this whole idea of living a new Dharma is recognizing who and what we are. We are not simply human beings. We are not, as my old Christian background was, born in sin and a sinner since birth, and we're relinquishing all of that. But check this out, because sometimes we still anthropomorphize God because of that idea. When we say things like, you know, it took getting hit with that cosmic 2x4 for me to wake up and get back on track. That cosmic 2x4 is still a God or godlike idea that is overseeing and onto the head when it deems us off track. Take a breath there, because I know that for some that is a woo, because we use a lot of phrases that still identify that which God is as solely outside. Reverend Marla reminded us it's an inside thing, living fully out from within. So the first place I need to start is recognizing that that which God is all that I am. From the top of my head to the soles of my feet, from the surface of my skin, all the way to the deepest particles of atoms, molecules, quantum energy. It's all God. There's no part of me that isn't. I am that I am. And what is true for me must be true for all of you as well, because God is all there is. H. Heal. Yeshua says in the Bible, the Judeo-Christian Bible, physician, heal thyself. We are metaphysicians, so metaphysician, heal thyself. Well, what does that mean? It means do the work. Embrace the totality of all that you are. There are aspects of ourselves we don't like. There are times when I feel my feelings are hurt. One of my 5 sons recently blocked me on Facebook. First, he stopped speaking to me for a year. Then he unfriended me. Then he blocked me on Facebook. And my feelings were hurt. And my first inclination is, Tracy, where's the donut? Where's the donut? Where's the cupcake? Where's some ice cream? As a matter of fact, I don't want a cupcake. I want a whole cake. My first place to go when my feelings are hurt, when I feel insulted or criticized or judged, is comfort eating, typically sugar. People don't like admitting that part of themselves, but it is. I can't do anything about it until I recognize that it is something that's there. And then when I recognize it's something that's there, then I can go into what is calling that forth. Where in me am I anchored to a belief or a feeling or a thought that is causing this as the response? Ah, there it is. Then I know how to address it. Or at least I know where it is. I might not know how to address it, but that's why people like Reverend Marla are here. So I can go to her and say, Reverend Marla, pray with me. Help me know what to do with this. Help me transcend it. Help me heal it. Help me move beyond it so that I may walk the walk. It means doing the work. A, awareness. The only God, as Ernest Holmes says, the only God we will ever know personally is the one that we embody. Start embodying. So, for example, when I say, name some of the qualities or attributes we normally would ascribe to God. We say things like love, happiness, joy, peace, wisdom. Recognize that all of those qualities of it are ours as well. Because there is no it and us. There is only the thing itself showing up as us. So everything that it is. So since I mentioned cake, let me talk to you about a cake for a moment. So imagine we have a chocolate cake, oh so delicious. And I take one slice out of the chocolate cake. And I ask you, is this slice the allness of the cake? And your answer is no, it is a slice of the cake. But if I ask you, how much of that slice is all chocolate cake? All of it. Glass of water. Is this all of water? No. But how much of this is all water? We are not the all of God, but all that we are is it. Let's start actively engaging in the practice of being, recognizing it, thinking it, speaking it, feeling it, and then going about our day recognizing I am sacred, I am holy, I am divine. I am worthy of that which is worthy of praising myself, celebrating myself, honoring myself, simply because I am the infinite I am showing up in human form. R, raison d'être. Know where you are going, your reason for being. What is your mission, your vision, your purpose? Earlier today, when I was speaking at CSL Greater Baltimore, we talked about this idea of path and destination. Recognizing that if you start a road trip and you start here, and I'm going to go cross country, so I'm going East Coast to West Coast and then back again. I'm not going from East Coast to West Coast, and I'm not moving. I'm going on a road trip, so I'm coming back home. The very place we seek to go, we already are. But the idea is, I'm already, I don't need another class, I don't need another book, I don't need another workshop. Technically, I don't need any of that. I am the fullness. But the classes, the workshops, the books, what they do is they help me anchor into my vision, my mission, and my purpose as this divine being here to be on the construction team for a world that works for everyone. But if I were to ask you right now, individually, one-on-one, do you have a personal vision, mission, and purpose statement? I am here for the purpose of. And not just to say I'm here for the purpose of living God, being God. I got that. But what does that look like? I'm here for the purpose of, for example, sorry, Clayton, I'm gonna use you as an example. Sorry. Forgive me now. For example, if Clayton were to say, I'm here, my vision and my mission, I'm here to be God in action. And one of the many ways that it shows up, because you need to check out my bio, one of the many ways that it shows up is through my voice, through the manner in which I cause air to vibrate. And as the air vibrates, it vibrates the molecules. And as it vibrates the molecules, it resonates on the skin and the eardrum, and it causes an interaction, a chemical, a energetic change in everything that hears the music and everything that feels the music. That's part of why I'm here. All of us have that. There is not one of us that God's not gonna, I'm gonna anthropomorphize just for the sake of this story. I'm God. I'm going to show up in the form of Raymont, but I'm not going to know what I am doing. I would be aimless. And I will wander the world wondering. I wonder as I wonder, why am I here? For what purpose? Like God's not going to just show me like, ha. Go figure it out. We are the very isness and allness. So somewhere there is already in the very DNA of our molecular structure this call to ever expand, ever go forward, ever become more and more and more of what we are. Manifestation. Don't wait, don't procrastinate, create. If there's something within us that wants to be birthed, whether it's a book, a workshop, a class, a dance, a song, a something, because spirit, that's what spirit does, it creates. Even in love, it is creating a loving bond, it creates. Rather than waiting for, let me wait until I get my degree. Let me wait until this class. Let me wait until the kids are older. Let me wait until graduate. Let me wait until I'm ordained. Rather than waiting, rather than procrastinating, saying, well, I'll do it after my popcorn. I'll start now and create. Find the thing that makes you light up with love and joy and simply do it. And then action. When you know better, you do better, as Maya Angelou said. So when we know, we are called into doing. Once again, simply feeling it, believing it, that's one thing. But when you know something, it changes the way we show up. So let's start doing better, more effective, more life-affirming stuff based upon what we know. But I have a question for you. Living full out. Suppose you were this young man born with no arms and no legs. No arms, no legs. Since birth. Do you think that you would be willing to learn how to surf? Would you swim with sharks? Would you skydive? Would you play golf? Would you dare to live all out, or would you allow yourself to succumb to the limitations that the world tends to say, but you don't know. And so we shrink rather than expand. We accept the lack and the limitations rather than learning how to have a life without limits, as Nick Vujicic does. Because this guy speaks to audiences around the world of millions and millions. Not only that, he's married and has 4 beautiful children. But see, there are many of us who, quote unquote, are able-bodied, and we will not live this out loud. The call is to say, it's time. It's time for me to step into. Because if I don't step into, then I'm going to continue to be in a normalized world where racism and homophobia and sexism and all of these things exist. And if we're going to transcend that and make those things fade away into the nothingness, fade away into the history books, the way the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and if we're going to make it transcend and fade away, then we have to be willing to understand who we are and what's going on. Viktor Frankl said, when you know your why, you can endure any how. And for me, I'm like, I don't want to endure this anymore. I'm done with the enduring it. So I said, when you live your why, your how shows up moment by moment. Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Yes, we have been beaten. Yes, we have been battered. Yes, we have been bruised in our lives. Yes, we have a whole lot of stuff going on, but it doesn't matter as much as what we choose to do with it. And if we really want to live full out, then we're being called into a brand new higher level that says, face it, feel it, and free it. Face the fear, feel the fear, and set it free. The guilt, the shame, the lack, the limitation, face it. Face it for what it is and heal, move through it. Feel it. Give yourself permission to say, what is it I'm feeling? And then free it. Set it free. Let it go about its way rather than saying, I am this. I don't say I have allergies or my allergies because they're not mine and I don't have them. I experience allergies on occasion. It's easier to transcend something when it's but if it's something I have, if it's mine, then it stays with me, right? So it's time to move, feel the flow and move with it. And by changing your thoughts, your words, your feelings, emotions, and actions, by changing them, we change our lives. For example, if I were to ask you, what does being negative mean? Many of us would say, it's things like talking this way or this way or this way. And I would like to invite us to change that and say, talking negative is talking about the yin side of yin and yang. And see, we understand when we see a battery, that a battery has a positive charge and a negative charge. There is no power without the positive and the negative. So for me, speaking negative is when I'm speaking about the earth, when I'm speaking about water, when I'm speaking about intuition. That's negative. And there is absolutely nothing wrong. It's also the feminine. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. But when we blanket it and say negativity, darkness are things to avoid, we're cutting off this energy. Shift the paradigm, and there is either more life-affirming or less life-affirming. Hate isn't a thing. There is either more love or less love, and those who experience less love tend to respond with this thing called hate. But it's not a thing. But we make it a thing when we blanket our consciousness and our ideas. Back to the hero's journey. Hero's journey says once you go through, you're going to go through it again and again and again and again. This does not end. So you may as well just anchor in and seize the day. Anchor in and carpe diem. Anchor in and just say this is part of the process of ever expanding consciousness and evolution. It's what God does. So our homework assignment for this week, your call to action. What does it mean, journal about this? What does contemplate and journal? What does it mean for me to live full out? Write a list of when and where I tend to choose to live based upon my limitations. I journal that. When do I do that? What triggers me to do that? Jot it down. And then what spiritual practices do I currently use, or could I use more frequently, more deeply, that nurture, strengthen, and develop my ability to traverse the hero's journey? That is my life. And lastly, what 3 things will I do this week What 3 things will I do this week to more fully live out loud, to more fully live boldly, to more fully live audaciously, to more fully live in a manner that says carpe diem, seize the day, carpe diem, I am that I am, and I love, and I am loved, and I'm loving, and I'm creative, more and more and more. So let's anchor in as we close with a prayer. Anchoring in and breathing is simply allowing this breath to flow. Recognizing that this body is intelligent enough to breathe itself. We don't worry about where the next breath is going to come from. We don't worry about holding and hoarding the breath. We don't worry about where the last breath went. We simply breathe. Breathe in this moment. And ultimately what we are doing is recognizing that this breath, it is spirit, it is God, it is the force, it is the universe itself, breathing itself as us right now. Recognizing that it is breathing itself as us right now, then all that God is, all that spirit is here, present, breathing itself, living itself, being itself in, through, and as each and every one of us, every moment, every breath, every thought, every word, every feeling, and every action. It is God. And so we breathe. We breathe with this recognition. We breathe with this willingness. We breathe with this conviction to expand, to boldly go where we may have thought we couldn't go before, to boldly go, to boldly step forward, to be in service for a world that works for all, to be in service for a world of peace, to be in service where we know I am not the only one who imagines and who dreams of a world that works for all, to boldly step into, to live from this place of recognition and awareness, of unity and of oneness, knowing that every person we meet, the face of God, every person we hear and everyone who hears us, the very voice of God, everyone who touches us and everyone whom we touch feels the very love and energy of God. And we breathe, and we recognize, and we stand in gratitude. Recognizing this and surrendering this into the law of action, knowing that it is already fully formed and functioning in the mind of God, I simply stand and recognize and witness the marvelous life right here and right now as it demonstrates in, through, and as each and every one of us. Declaring this together as a beloved community, we say together, amen, and so it is.
Thank you so very much. The next share I have for you today is a song from the song cycle of songs of travel by Rafe Vaughan Williams and Robert Louis Stevenson, the Vagabond. And the poem talks about just living life full out. I can hardly believe the synchronicity of this falling in place, and I hope you enjoy this. Give to me the life I love, let the lave go by me. Give the jolly heaven above, and the byway nigh me. Bed in the bush with stars to see, bread I dip in the river. There's the life for a man like me. There's the life forever. Let the blow fall soon or late, let what will be o'er me. If the face of earth around and the road before me, wealth I seek not, hope nor love, nor a friend to know me. All I seek, the heaven above, and the road autumn fall on me, where afield I linger, silencing the bird on tree, biting the blue finger, white as meal the frosty field, warm the fireside haven. Not to autumn will I yield, not to winter even. Let the blow fall soon or late, let what will be o'er me. Give the face of earth around and the road before me. Wealth I ask not, hope nor love, nor a friend to know me. All I seek, the heaven above, and the road below me. Oh, no, there's more. It's still me. I didn't intend this to be the Clayton Brainerd show. This is cosmic alignment. I just work here, so that's where I'm at with that. I just wanted, but seriously, I want to just say what an honor it is to be a member of the board at Unity of Bellevue, and to have friends like I have in that group, and the quality that we share with one another, and to have a spiritual mentor like Reverend Marla. It's very hard to put into words what that means. I just am endlessly grateful for that. And when it came time for Tony and I to support the Unity of Bellevue, we did not hesitate, because we knew that that was part of our spiritual path and our spiritual growth. And we stepped in without hesitation. And I encourage you to do that as well at your whatever level you have. And I'm so grateful for the support that we receive. So if you would be so kind to declare with me the offering affirmation. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is.
Oh, bless your hearts. I was busy writing a thank you note to Clayton and forgot I was supposed to be blessing the offering. So let's turn within and give thanks for these gifts, for those who give so generously and abundantly in support of who we are, transforming lives, making the world a better place, waking up to the spiritual truth. I consecrate these gifts to the good use of this center, and I consecrate these gifts to be a blessing in the world through the gift of our own tithe. I am so very grateful, and so it is. Amen.
Hi, everyone. My name is Monica McDowell Elvig. I'm your center administrator. If you are visiting with us for the first time, wherever you are, we are so grateful you are here. We would love to help you live life full out. And so reach out to us during this time. Send us an email or a voicemail or on social media. Reach out so that we can connect with you and help you live into your fullest potential, your fullest dharma. We have a lot of online offerings right now, and I'm going to tell you about them. The first thing is we have our book of the month, The Great Work of Your Life by Stephen Cope is available for purchase. You can go to our website under the events tab. There is a book of the month option, and clicking on that, you can fill out the form, and I will send you that book for $20. That includes tax and shipping. The link is also on our weekly e-newsletter. We'd love to be all in sync in our collective consciousness with our spiritual principles and practices. So that's a great opportunity to support our center and to move forward together, getting a new thought. Our prayer chaplains are always available to pray with and for you. If you have any prayer requests, you can again go to our website under the prayer tab, and there is a form that you can fill out if you have a prayer request. You can also send an email to prayerchaplains@unityofbellevue.org. And if you would like a phone call from one of our prayer chaplains, just put that in your message, and one of them would be happy to call you and pray with you. Every Wednesday at 1 p.m., we have our Wednesday Community Connect online on Zoom. You can find all of these Zoom links on our website under the launch page. It's /launch, or the button at the very top of the website that says Sunday and Online Gatherings. Click on that button and that'll take you to our launch page. At 1 p.m. every Wednesday, we're connecting with each other, with Reverend Marla, to stay focused on our spiritual principles and practices during this unique time that we're in. So we hope to see you there. Every Thursday night into July, we're having an online book study on A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. Reverend Dick Everts is facilitating that, and that is a drop-in workshop. So anyone can drop in on Thursday nights at 7:30 on Zoom. That link is on our website, and it is love offering only. So if you feel so moved, we gratefully accept those love offerings for that class. Our sacred service during this time is we are spring cleaning and gathering things so that we can take all of our used items to Value Village when things open back up. All of those dollars that we get in exchange for all of our used items will help our youth and family ministry programs. Our building is closed. If you are in desperate need to drop those off, just send me an email and we can schedule a time to do a contactless drop-off for those items. Thank you. Unity LGBTQ+ meets this Tuesday night at 6:30 on Zoom. If this is a safe place and spiritual support for LGBTQ persons and those who are questioning. We'd love to have you join us for that. Also, if you would like to send in some pictures from this time to add into our slideshow before and after service, just email me those at info@unityofbellevue.org, and I'm happy to put those in. We had a few more added in this week, so thank you for that. To stay current on all of our events happening here at Unity of Bellevue online, go to our website, and at the bottom of every page is a form you can fill out to get our weekly e-newsletter. Thank you and have a blessed week.
Beautiful. Thank you, Monica. So grateful for you and for all of our staff as we shepherd our center through this time. I want to say a couple things before we close. One is I sent a letter to our entire community yesterday. If you didn't receive that email, go check your email box. And also, if you are not on our email list, Monica just told you, you can get on that by going to unityofbellevue.org. You'll receive an email about once a week from us. And we'll make sure anybody who's not on it, if you register in the next couple days, we'll make sure you get that communication from me to you about our current status during COVID-19 pandemic. I also want to remind you that Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson used to be a school teacher, so you're going to want to get going on that homework. I think he's going to be expecting that to be handed in very, very soon. And you know, in truth, it's only the universe that holds us accountable, right? The universe will hold you accountable for whether or not you did that homework. So I invite you to take that on boldly and see what the universe has for you in your homework. He did add the questions, Reverend Raymont did add the questions to the chat, so you can go and find those there. That is all I have got for today. We are going to close with our prayer for protection. I invite you to stick around for Unity Kids, which starts at 11:40. Sabrina McFadden has prepared something really lovely for our kids today. So grown-ups are welcome to stick around as well. Many blessings. Let's close with the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so it is. Amen. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you in about 10 minutes for Unity Kids. Bye-bye.